New Commissioner Rob Manfred has wasted no time leaving his mark on the game, and more changes are coming. See how the players feel about pace of play.
And for the first time in almost 2 decades, Derek Jeter is not in camp. Find out how the Yankees and the league are adjusting to life without the captain.
All that and more as we take you inside the Grapefruit League. Hello and welcome to WEBN's Inside the Grapefruit League 2015. I'm Ashley Allen.
And I'm Mike Canalupo. One of the hottest topics in baseball right now is the pace of play. New Commissioner Rob Manfred said he wants to shorten the length of games to appeal to the younger generation, and they're already starting to make some changes.
One of the options that's being explored is the use of a clock. Starting this year, minor league games will be using a 20-second pitch clock to speed up the time between each pitch.
But how do players feel about these changes? Mike Lucas found out whether or not they think it's good for the game.
Baseball games are taking longer than ever, and new MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred is doing everything he can to speed them up.
Let's face it, if you're a family or if you're on a date, whatever it is, a 2-hour and 30-minute game is more appealing than sitting through a 3-hour and 30 game.
The new rules include limiting on-field meetings and fining players who step out of the batter's box. They're even experimenting with a pitch clock in the minors. However, not everyone has noticed the change.
Oh, I don't even pay attention to it. I only have looked at it once.
It's not necessarily the pitchers who are holding up the games, though. A lot of times it's the hitters taking a break between every pitch. A possible solution is, you know what, the clock's at 0, you're free to pitch. And if the batter's not in there, the first time a pitcher throws a strike and now all of a sudden the count's 0-1 and the batter hasn't even stepped in the box, that problem will be eliminated by itself. The batter will be in the box and be ready.
Major League Baseball may be trying to speed the game up, but most players and managers don't think these new rules will have much of an impact on the game itself.
It doesn't affect me that much. In between innings, I warm up pretty quick, and I don't tend to really take my time in between pitches.
Really, the biggest change you see is in between innings with just the clock and being able to get out on the field quickly, which, it's not changing the integrity of the game, which is a good thing.
Over the past 5 years, the average length of a baseball game has increased by almost 20 minutes. But those working at the ballpark don't seem to be the ones complaining.
I think the people that are worried about the pace of play don't go to the games very often. The people that are here every day, the players, the umpires, the managers, the coaches, and the broadcasters, we like being at the ballpark.
If all goes according to plan, Manfred's new rules could be in the major leagues next season. For WEBN, I'm Mike Lucas.
This year marks the first in over 2 decades that Derek Jeter will not be wearing pinstripes on opening day.
Now, while Jeter was the captain of the Yankees, many of his peers considered him to be the captain of Major League Baseball. With Jeter gone, it's time for baseball to usher in a new face of the game.
From Giancarlo Stanton down in Miami to Big Papi in Boston or Mike Trout in LA, there are a handful of options to fill the void left by the Yankees legend. But who will step up to the plate?
Anthony Chase asked players to answer that very question.
Let's preface it by saying nobody will ever be Derek Jeter.
Whether you rooted for him or against him, Derek Jeter was the face of Major League Baseball. With his retirement, the winner of the next face of baseball is
Mike Trout.
I would say Teixeira.
You got Bryce coming up.
Tulowitzki.
Mike Trout.
Buster Posey, Clayton Kershaw.
All right, so maybe there isn't a clear-cut winner this season, but what can make one face stand out in a sea of superstars? Many say Mike Trout, but not just for his ability to swing the bat.
I think one of the young guys you can look at now is Mike Trout, who's just kind of got that kind of charisma where he's going out there and just playing a game, and he looks like he has fun out there.
Mike Trout still has that great smile. He's the best player in the game. He's still got such an aw shucks, I can't wait to play today attitude. And that's what I think baseball needs more than anything else, is a normal guy as the face of baseball.
Sometimes the game of baseball knows when it has a face. Just look at the farewell tour extravaganza of Derek Jeter last season, when every team felt an obligation to pay tribute to the Yankee shortstop.
Jeter was one of a kind. He was a great leader and the team captain of baseball. So it's going to be tough to follow his steps, but people are going to have to go up there and play baseball and show the game, what we got.
There's, again, a few guys that can certainly fill that void, but let's see who kind of takes the lead on that and who becomes a true baseball top ambassador.
Jeter racked up nearly 3,500 hits, but what really hit Torrey Hunter was the way he played the game.
Man, Jeter was one of a kind. He was a true professional. You talk about a guy who played in New York, one of the toughest places to play, and as far as media-wise, and this guy, he kept his nose clean. He was always, there in front of the camera, played the game the right way. There's not too many guys out there that can be like Jeter. So, but the face of baseball right now might be Mike Trout.
It might be Trout, but the true face of baseball isn't born overnight, and you might not even know who he is until he's not on the field anymore. In Florida, Anthony Chase, WEBN.
The New York Yankees are in uncharted territory. Expectations entering the 2015 season are low, and they're projected to finish near the bottom of the American League East.
The core four is gone, so where do the Yankees go from here?
Lucas Frankel was at Yankees camp to get a feel for the state of the franchise.
The captain is gone, so the Yankees have been forced to move on without Derek Jeter.
It's different. It's different for sure. Jeter, obviously the greatest leader of all time, and he'll be missed, but we got to keep pushing forward. We have the season to get ready for, and we got to get ready with the guys we have.
I think it'll really hit you when the season starts. I think I noticed it really just on the spring training road games like this. It's kind of like been this in years past, where if Derek Jeter isn't here, it's like the Yankees didn't show up.
Former Yankees trainer Gene Monahan still can't get over the fact Jeter is no longer in the Yankee clubhouse.
And I think about that pretty much each morning and each evening when I start the day and end the day, and you keep looking around out there at shortstop and looking for number 2 and you don't see him. You look for his antics in the clubhouse, which were very quiet but very poignant. And you look for his smile and his good times, and even during the tough times, he was always there supporting everyone, young and old. We miss that.
Even though the captain is gone, the Yankees are confident they have the necessary pieces to get the job done.
We'll make the adjustments, and Didi Gregorius is number 1 in the line there. I think he has good ability, and I'm looking forward to seeing him play there.
There are still a lot of veterans here, so I don't think they're stepping into Jeter's place. I think there are people who are going to take on some leadership roles, and we probably had some of that in the past.
Yankees general manager Brian Cashman even said he thinks Derek Jeter should be the team's last captain. Reporting from Sarasota, Lucas Frankel, WEBN.
For the second time in 3 years, the Red Sox finished at the bottom of the AL East in 2014. Since then, the team's undergone a big transformation both on offense and defense.
The Sox lineup is projected to be among the best in baseball, in large part because of the additions of Pablo Sandoval and Hanley Ramirez.
And after losing out on the John Lester sweepstakes, general manager Ben Cherington reworked the entire pitching rotation by acquiring Rick Porcello and Wade Miley, just to name a few.
Ashley was in Fort Myers this week and had the chance to meet with some of the newest faces of Red Sox Nation.
The Boston Red Sox have hit a home run with some new additions to the roster.
How has spring training been going for you guys so far?
They're doing great. They're doing great for me, especially a new team. It's excited to be part.
Last year, veteran third baseman Pablo Sandoval won the World Series with the San Francisco Giants, and he's hoping to bring that kind of success to Boston.
Try to do the best that I can out there, try to make the fans happy. Try to bring a lot of championship to this team. That's one of the things that I try signing here because they had a good team.
But that wasn't true last season when the Sox finished at the bottom of the AL East. But Sandoval and fellow newcomer Hanley Ramirez believe this year's team can win.
That's the main thing I was looking for in the offseason, to go to a winning team.
15 years ago, Hanley Ramirez began his major league career with the Sox. And after 9 years away, he's back.
Happy. I can't wait to, my first at bat at Fenway. I'm from the best, fans of the world, and it's going to be great.
And this time, the Sox are not letting him go. In November, Ramirez signed a contract that will keep him in Boston for the next 4 years.
It's great, man. He worked really hard. He's very excited of being here, being part of the organization that first signed him.
He's very well motivated.
But Ramirez and Sandoval add more than talent to the starting lineup.
You know, chemistry is a big part of our success and, you know, what we have. And, you know, those guys are fun. They're just going to add to the, you know, the comedy act of what we are as a team. But, you know, we go out there and have fun doing it.
If the combination of chemistry, talent, and Major League experience wins games, it looks like the Boston Red Sox are in a good place as they head into their first game against the Philadelphia Phillies on April 6th on the road at Citizens Bank Park. For WEBN, I'm Ashley Allen.
When we come back, we find out whether having an ace is truly the key to a championship team.
But before we go to break, Ashley, if you were to guess, between players, coaches, fans, and media, who knows the most baseball history?
Players?
Well, I put them to the test. Take a look. Don Larson pitched a perfect game in what year's World Series?
I'm trying to read you for an answer. I don't know. 1950. The last one you said.
I'm squinting right now in case anybody can't tell. Try to think.
I don't know the answer. I'd be guessing.
Give me the decade. Was it the 60s?
I'm gonna go in the 60s. I'm gonna go 61.
1957.
1956.
1956.
56.
Mickey Mantle hit a home run. They won 2-0.
Who has the most at-bats in MLB history?
Ty Cobb.
Ty Cobb. That's got to be either Rose or Cobb. I'm going to go Rose.
Well, I'm gonna go with Pete Rose since he had the most amount of hits.
For sure. Big Rose.
Pete Rose.
I knew you would go for it.
I've only got 2 right.
Yeah, do I win anything?
When Hanley Ramirez signed with the Red Sox this offseason, he knew that he would have to be willing to change positions. Since entering the league, Ramirez has played exclusively in the infield.
But now he's being asked to learn how to play an entirely different area on the diamond, the outfield.
Anthony Chase caught up with Ramirez as well as a few others who have been asked to make a similar switch.
That's not bad for a guy who also plays second base. The Braves' Eric Young is used to switching positions, and he's not alone. Pedro Alvarez was an all-star third baseman, and the Pirates hope he'll be just as good at first.
You're seeing the field from a different point of view, but the bat's coming off a different angle than at third. So again, it's just getting comfortable and just learning the responsibilities that goes with playing a new position.
A different view of the field can be a tough adjustment, but for a young player like Boston's Mookie Betts, a career is on the line. After making the jump from minors to majors, Betts went from second base to right field, and now he's in center.
He got better as he went from infield to outfield last year. He hadn't played a lot of center field. He improved in leaps and bounds. And a key ingredient with him is he's fearless.
For some guys, changing a position might mean stepping off the field. A guy like Bo Porter knows that transition well as he went from player to manager and now the Braves' third base coach.
I think baseball is baseball. I think even when I was a coach before I became a manager, I always thought about the game in its entirety, and I think that prepared me to be a manager.
Porter's coaching career has long outlasted his time as a player, and while his stint as Astros manager didn't end on the best terms, he says he's still happy to be in the game.
I always relish in the role that I'm in. I think you ever get outside of that, you lose sight of what's important today. So today I'm the third base coach of the Atlanta Braves, and I'm excited about being the third base coach of the Atlanta Braves.
That's a lesson Braves' Eric Young Jr. could use this season. He's played 4 positions as utility man, but the best one this year might be a place on Atlanta's roster. In Florida, Anthony Chase, WEBN.
After Madison Bumgarner carried the Giants to their 3rd title in 5 years, it cemented the idea that you need an ace in order to win in Major League Baseball.
Or do you? The Red Sox are certainly testing that theory with the way they've constructed their starting rotation. They're following the model laid out by the Royals and Orioles last season when both teams finished at the top of the American League despite not having a true #1 pitcher.
Jim Kane talked to players and coaches in the Grapefruit League about the importance, or lack thereof, of having an ace on the pitching staff.
There are 2 schools of thought when it comes to having an ace pitcher. Either you need one or you don't.
Yeah, I think that's becoming a little bit more overrated than it used to be.
You need an ace when September and October rolls around. Until then, you just need guys going on runs.
The ace issue has been a hot topic in baseball, especially with the Red Sox. But right now, the Sox are only concerned with their pitching staff.
Well, I know that we all like the people that we brought on board, and you know, I don't know who determines the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but we feel confident in every guy that we have.
We got a great pitching staff. We got a great outfielders, great infielder. I think this is, when you pull all the pieces together, you're going to win some games. We're going to try to do the best out there to try to support the pitching staff.
The Sox chose not to acquire a top-of-the-rotation starter. Instead, they added several middle-of-the-rotation pitchers. But with the state of the AL East, that may not be a bad thing.
I think the AL East is a little bit down. I think for the first time in a number of years, there's not a readily identifiable ace in the whole division. You know, there's no Price, there's no Lester, there's no Shields, there's no CC Sabathia in his prime. Tanaka's even a question mark, so I don't think there's a real ace in the division.
Historically speaking, teams with aces tend to have the most success. However, for a team like the Red Sox, they're hoping that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
All of these guys have gone on ace-like runs at some point in their career. They just have to find someone, when you get to where the rubber meets the road in the season, as one of these people who are, okay, you know, there's your ace heading into the postseason.
And if the current staff doesn't pan out, look for the Red Sox to be in the running for an ace, such as Phillies lefty Cole Hamels, at the trade deadline. Reporting from spring training, I'm Jim Kane, WEBN.
It seems as though Tommy John surgery is more common than ever in baseball. Over the past 5 years, more than 100 players have undergone surgery to repair their UCL in the elbow.
Thankfully, Tommy John surgery doesn't spell the end for a player's career like it used to, but with it happening at such an alarming rate, what are trainers doing to help prevent the injury from occurring in the first place? Lucas Frankel has more.
Arm injuries seem to be taking over Major League Baseball. Entering the 2015 season, almost 1/3 of all current pitchers have undergone Tommy John surgery at some point in their careers.
You're always going to have arm injuries because everybody on a baseball field has to throw. Every player in baseball throws, and obviously pitchers throw more than the other guys.
Both Monahan and Orioles catcher Matt Wieters, who underwent Tommy John surgery last season, say these injuries happen because baseball players are throwing too much.
When you get you know, kind of talent level you have, everybody tries to do more and more, and on top of all the way from growing up from kids, we're playing more. So it's, you know, the volume, sheer volume on the elbow is not something that's probably meant for us naturally to be able to throw a baseball that many times.
The overuse syndrome is the biggest culprit in professional baseball. When I say overuse, I mean guys that are throwing and throwing and throwing and throwing, and they break down because the tissues can't hold up to the rigors of the long season and the long spring and so forth and so on.
In order for arm injuries to become a thing of the past, Monahan says youth coaches have to lead the charge.
I think the best way to handle this problem and approach the problem is through education. Education with our young coaches, our older coaches, and the guys that work with youth that need to focus and concentrate on care and healthy attitudes and healthy practices when it comes to throwing, especially pitching. And a good sound shoulder arm program, adequate rest periods, and not so necessarily so much a pitch count, but a number of days a week or month that a guy pitches should be adhered to and be very specific.
Major League teams have attempted to fix these problems in recent years by limiting pitch counts and innings, but even they haven't had much success. Reporting from spring training, Lucas Frankel, WEBN.
When we come back, you'll hear from baseball's most promising prospects and how they're adjusting to life at the professional level.
But first, there's no song that unites fans across the league better than Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
You could hear it at every baseball game in every stadium in the country, but I'm sure you've never heard it quite like this.
Ready?
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the park.
Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever come back.
Root for the Pirates.
The Astros.
The Redlegs.
The Red Sox.
The Brewers.
For the Brewers.
For the Cubbies. And also the Buffalo Bills.
If
they don't win, it's a shame.
It's a shame if they lose.
Now just 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out.
The old ball game.
Towards the end of the 2014 season, we were able to catch a glimpse of the Red Sox future. After being eliminated from playoff contention early in the season, the Sox began calling up prospects such as Mookie Betts, Christian Vasquez, and Matt Barnes to get valuable experience at the major league level.
The future is bright in Boston, and Jim Kane takes a closer look at some of the players you may see at Fenway Park in the near future.
Change is on the horizon in Boston. After a few roller coaster years at Fenway Park, the Sox have set their eyes on the future and seem to be headed in the right direction.
I think they're in a good spot because they have the younger guys and they also have that next group who you aren't going to have to put a lot of expectations on.
They've been doing a great job, they've been humbles out there, try to do the best that I can to help the team to win.
There are a handful of players knocking on the big league door, such as Blake Swihart, Henry Owens, and Garen Cicchini. But the one prospect that has stood out the most is Mookie Betts.
I think Betts is far and away the leader right now as we sit here. It's not even a question. They really like what Mookie delivered in terms of leadoff, in terms of what he did last year, how he came to camp.
Mookie, man, he's unbelievable. He can hit, he changed position to it, and he can go get it. So I'm really happy for him, and I think he's going to be a great player.
Last season, Betts excelled in his brief stint in the big leagues, and this year, he hopes to win the battle for center field. But while Betts' transition to the majors has been smooth, that's not always the case with everyone.
Sometimes it doesn't translate right away because, kids come to the big leagues and they're nervous, just like veteran players and veteran coaches are nervous in certain situations. So the more reps, the better, and we know that some have had some ups and downs, and that's okay. It's okay to get knocked to the mat a little bit.
David Ortiz knows the grind of a baseball season, and his advice to the Sox prospects is to just stay the course.
You ain't perfect, things happen in the game, and you're going to have those ups and downs where you're going to have to deal with. Everybody knows that here, but you always try your best.
While many of Boston's future faces are still in the minors, 22-year-old Xander Bogaerts is hoping to make a name for himself in his sophomore season.
We're really excited, and again, he needs a lot of game reps. He's not there yet. He's still a young guy. He hasn't played a lot of baseball, but last year was good for him, and I think that he showed a lot of mental and physical toughness. But right now he's on cue.
Bogaerts, along with Betts and Christian Vasquez, are three of the Sox younger players expected to be in this year's opening day lineup. Reporting from spring training, I'm Jim Kane, WEBN.
College is a crucial time in a person's life where he or she learns how to live without mom and dad and, most importantly, take care of themselves. But for those who decide to skip college and go to the pros, they're forced to learn all of that on the fly.
Isaac Moore talked to a number of players who went through that process to see what life is like for an 18-year-old professional baseball player.
Basically got on a plane and came over to Florida and, began my pro career. And
for a prospect like Cole Stewart, who chose to forgo college, it's as simple as that.
The hardest thing is just being away from home, but it's something that you have to get used to and something that you have to accept because it's a part of the game, it's a part of life.
For the first time when you're by yourself and you got to go out there and learn things and become a man. And, it was tough at first, but then you kind of get used to going out there playing every day.
And that may be the most difficult part, going from playing 70 games a summer to 160.
That 6 game and 6 day, you're tired, but do you still want to go to the ballpark that day? That's what's going to separate you. One thing that we always try to stress to them is if you go play professionally, it's it's a job. You're at the field 9 a.m. and you're gone probably about 11 p.m. So it's where college, you can be a little bit more of a kid.
While college may provide valuable experience, nothing prepares a young prospect more than going straight to the minor leagues.
The best university to learn baseball is to be in a farm system for a Major League Baseball team. So, college instruction is pretty good, but playing year-round in an MLB organization, that's your best chance of making the big leagues.
And many players agree. Despite missing out on the college experience, they wouldn't change a thing.
I get, 5 months of an off season to go hang out with my friends when I want to. I think if anybody's missing out, it's they are. I mean, I get an opportunity that not very many people get to do.
I mean, I think I matured very quick, really right when I was drafted. I played with a lot of older players the first couple of years, and I think if it wasn't for them, I don't know if I'd be where I am today.
And that's the last key piece that college players just don't get right away. Mentorship.
They kind of helped me get to where I am right now, you know, just leading me through the right path and leading me through the right way.
And on June 8th, a new class of high school prospects will begin their journeys to the pros as they enter the Major League Draft. In Florida, I'm Isaac Moore, WEBN.
When we come back, we'll give you a first-hand look at what it's like to work as a grounds crew member for a professional baseball team.
But first, more trivia, because you can never have too much trivia. Just ask Alex Trebek. In 1903, this city won the first ever World Series.
Philadelphia.
I'm going to go with Philadelphia.
Philly.
New York.
I want to see either Boston or Cincinnati. Boston.
Boston. Boston.
What team holds the longest playoff drought in MLB history? Postseason. I'm not talking about World Series. I'm talking about just making the playoffs.
Not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a tough call. There's so many teams that have all made the playoffs recently.
Okay, I'm going to say it's the Phillies.
I'm going to have to just straight up guess. Can you give me a hint? Is it the American League or National League?
Wow. Cleveland Spiders?
They may have switched countries.
Yeah, it's Expos.
Washington.
I overheard this one, so Expos/Nationals.
For a hitter, his bat is his livelihood. Each player has a specific weight and feel he wants in his bat.
And for years, maple and ash have been the most common forms of lumber in baseball, but two men north of the border think they found a wood that will revolutionize the bat industry.
A bat is a baseball player's livelihood.
That's your weapon, you know, it's your everyday work.
But not every bat is made the same. Ashwood had been the most common type of bat.
The Ash's advantage is that it's got flex to it, just like a golf club. You come through and it's bending back and it whips forward at the point of impact.
Then 18 years ago, maple wood bats burst onto the scene.
Maple came along, it's harder than ash, and the growth lines are the same strength as the rest of the wood, so it doesn't matter where you hit the ball on the bat.
Now the company B45 is trying to change the bat game.
Our company brought a new species of wood to Major League Baseball, yellow birch.
Maple wood is strong and firm, ash is flexible, but Kramer says the yellow birch wood used in the B45 bats combine the best of both worlds.
Our company hypothesized that the yellow birch, which is a provincial tree of Quebec province, would make for a better bat because, knowing the fibers of the bat, it could be made as hard as maple but have flex like an ash bat.
All-star catcher Jonathan Lucroy and Boston Shane Victorino are two players who have made the switch to yellow birch.
Everybody has their own opinion on what a bat should feel like, but you know, for me, it's about controlling the barrel, having a good feel, and you know, understanding that you know, that's the thing that I go to work. That's my bread and butter.
This year, more than 30 major leaguers will use B45 bats, which are similarly priced to maple and ash bats. For WEBN, I'm Mike Lucas.
Mike, have you ever wondered how the grounds crews are able to make the fields look so perfect?
Actually, it's the only thing I ever think about. It blows my mind how they're able to make such elaborate designs in grass.
I know, it's crazy. Isaac Moore had the chance to talk with the Major League grounds crew and learned all the tricks of the trade.
Give the players a good, safe playing field.
That's what it boils down to for a groundskeeper. Give the players a field with no surprises.
Essentially what we're looking for is predictability. We want to know exactly where that ball is going to go as it rolls through that infield.
You don't want bad hops, of course, that's a nightmare. But since keeping that moist, and it's hard to do in 83-degree weather and wind.
Moisture is the key to the playing surface, but maintaining it is easier said than done.
We want to build a moisture layer in the base of that clay. We call it essentially a moisture bank. And so as the sun comes out during the day, we want the clay to pull that moisture from up underneath
If there isn't enough moisture, it becomes too hard.
If that clay is allowed to dry out, it essentially bakes into, it's almost like concrete. And you can imagine trying to play baseball in a parking lot.
But if it's too wet,
it's unstable for the players, for the footing. The ball, as it rolls through the infield, will pick up a little bit of that moisture, and it's just, it's not predictable.
Knowing that, it's no surprise that a groundskeeper's biggest fear is
the tarp. That's the only thing that's bad about the job, is putting the tarp on in the middle of a game, or that's just the stressful part.
Now, if you get heavy rain in a short period of time, and you're not covering that field, you're going to lose a lot of your infield material, a lot of that clay. It's going to run off the backside, and it creates lips and low spots, things that you really don't want to see.
Once the infield is under control, the next step is to give the fans the beauty of a perfectly mowed outfield. But it isn't as evenly cut as you'd think.
A lot of clubs will cut their infields shorter or taller than the outfield, depending on the natural strengths and weaknesses of the team. If you want to kind of adjust your outfields, you can cut one side taller than the other. It just little tricks of the trade, the things that happen.
Now that's what I call a home field advantage. In Florida, I'm Isaac Moore, WEBN.
Well, it has been quite a week here in Florida,
sure has.
And we hope that all of you have enjoyed our look inside the Grapefruit League.
We talked to some of the league's biggest names and introduced you to a couple players who may become the future stars of Major League Baseball.
But now that spring training's over, it's time to put all of that hard work to the test.
Play ball!
For everyone at WEBN, I'm Ashley Allen.
And I'm Mike Canalupo. We'll see you right here next year.